Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of the three-part video about the role of a CISO in a modern organization. So, in the first part, I covered five things that is expected of a CISO in a modern organization. Today, I'll cover five. In the next one, I'll cover five more. So, in today's video, the first thing I'm going to talk about, or the sixth thing in the series, is regulatory compliance. Now, it is expected of a CISO to stay informed about the relevant cybersecurity regulations and the different compliance standards to which your company is subjected, and also to oversee the processes and make sure your organization is compliant with those. Now, this would be, I would say, relevant definitely for small and medium businesses if you do not have a separate compliance department. But if you do have a separate compliance department, you will work with them and collaborate with them to ensure that when it comes to cyber activities or the cyber posture of your organization or any standard and regulatory regulations that your company is subjected to, you will be responsible for those portions and you need to collaborate with your compliance team to achieve those. So that's to do with regulatory compliance. The next one would be employee training and awareness. Now, this is, I would say, important because many times we do talk about employees or the humans being the weakest link. But remember, they may be a weakest link because they're not machines, but they are definitely your strongest assets because they can block all kinds of attacks, and they'll be the first, the front line, and they will definitely be your strongest assets in preventing most of the attacks, toward your organization. So, a CISO would be responsible and accountable for conducting, and evaluating, assessing the different kinds of trainings for employees at various levels, for different things that you would do. Um, these trainings would be required for your employees because they'll be subjected to a lot of attacks. So this is foundational for them because your team might know cybersecurity and you know be well aware of how to avoid and mitigate and be aware of those kinds of attacks, but the general population may not. They may not be so wise and so aware about, hey, this looks fishy, this might be an attack. So this portion, the security awareness and training, is very very important, and a CISO is expected to know how to go about forming a program and also collaborating with other teams to make sure employees get up to speed and are aware and are strong in terms of you know um, keeping these attacks out of your organization. Um, Next would be, for any chief of an organization, you will be responsible for budget and resource allocation. Now, you will definitely be responsible for the budget for the cybersecurity team. Sometimes there are other teams reporting, could be, but then you'll be responsible for those budgets as well. You will be required to be responsible and accountable for the budget of the different software, applications, programs, whatever you call it. You will be responsible for the resources and their payrolls. You'll be responsible for other things that are a part of your cybersecurity operations. So a CISO would need to be, well, is expected to know how to budget for these kind of resources and these kind of needs. And the last thing for today's video would be cybersecurity metrics and reporting. Now, I mentioned cybersecurity metrics because you may have other teams and other places, other areas in your organization where you have metrics. I'm talking specifically about cybersecurity metrics. Now, this would be something where you have a certain indicator where someone looks at it and says, okay, he is hit that mark, so he's at par. He's gone beyond it, so he's overperforming, or if he's not hit that mark, he's underperforming. It KPIs or these indicators tell the other people how well you are doing or your team is doing. So it's basically, you know, Have you hit the mark? No, you have not hit the mark. Yes, you have gone beyond what's expected of you. So, for at least for cybersecurity, the CISO is responsible for creating these metrics, and more importantly, these metrics, because they have other people, when it comes to the CISO, these metrics are to be reported to the executive board, who need to know how well is not just your team doing, but the organization doing. So pay attention to these metrics, because they will be the ones that you communicate to the board, and they will help form this impression, and help the board understand how well you're doing. So these are the 5 things for today's video in part 2 of the 3-part series of the role of a CISO in a modern organization. I will continue this in part 3 of the series, so wait for the next one, and until then, stay safe. Take care.